We have an update on an injured SmackDown superstar. FTR have addressed their future AEW plans, and an ex-WWE name has made their AEW in-ring debut. More on that in this video. Yes, hello everyone, Jack again, back with the wrestling news. Kofi Kingston has shared on Instagram some very good news regarding...
It was good news because we were very concerned about the nature of Kofi Kingston after he got injured during that melee.
Yes.
Heading into that fatal five-way.
On the SmackDown of March 3rd, he did, and has since undergone surgery to heal an injured ankle. He shared on Instagram saying, surgery went very well, of course. I had to FaceTime the boys being
the New Day, obviously.
Upon regaining consciousness, very little recollection, of the conversation. LOL. Thanks to everyone who sent me a message. I appreciate it more than you know. I'm home now. Let the road to recovery begin. Tremendous news for Kofi.
It's tremendous news. I'm glad he got to touch base with his friends. You know, like when it comes to touching base with your best friends, you know, like my best friend Adam Pacitti, if something ever happened to me, I'd want to tell him and be the first to reach out to him. Do you realise that, and this is an awful bit of coincidence, that Kofi's injury, almost a year to the day that Big E broke his neck.
It is, and it's been interesting following Big E's recovery recently, because there was, it was while you weren't here, but Big E was sharing this whole kind of his journey and staying very optimistic, as Big E does. On the flip side of things, Ridge Holland was dealing with a bit of hate online for his perceived fault in Big E's injury, and it's just not nice to see. But on the other hand, the New Day have been very nice towards him, and it's nice to see both Big E and now Kofi recovering from their injuries. So hopefully we see them both back before very long, although I wouldn't suggest we want to see either of them rush, especially Big E. Big E
getting injured last year, and just as he's on the verge of returning, Kofi gets injured. Can we please wrap Xavier Woods in cotton wool? Can we please put him in bubble wrap and keep him in a cupboard for a little bit? I'm very nervous. I want a New Day reunion before 2030.
Yeah.
All three in the ring, healthy at the same time, good to go. We need that.
From one great tag team to another, FTR have been a topic of big speculation recently, because are they with AEW, are they not? It seems like they're back in the AEW fold very much now, having returned to challenge the Guns. But yesterday, Dax Harwood gave he kind of addressed these future plans on Twitter, didn't he?
The tweet goes, just off the phone with Cash, we've decided what we're going to do come April. Nothing is official yet, so legally can't speak on it. But in the next couple of weeks, we'll let all of our fans know. We owe it to you all for the opportunities we have in front of us, and we love you all. Now, they returned at Revolution. However, it seems like their contract is still up to be, is up in April.
Yeah, it's still due to expire, yeah.
It seems like that situation hasn't changed. Now, whether or not this bit of business involves staying on with AEW, we know that they've spoken quite passionately about wanting to hit the indies and just not run like a big indie schedule, but just do choice events.
Like a tag team Cody Rhodes when he initially went to the Indies. Do you think? They're a big enough draw now, aren't they, that they could do like a tag team version of Cody's little journey that he did. Just so patronising.
Little journey. That little journey where he went and turned the belt into a ring for a minute. What a lovely time that was. Read into this what you will. The next episode of FTR, the podcast hosted by Dax Harwood, is all about Triple H.
Oh, I think that'll be a good one. He speaks very well, Dax, on his podcast. And I find him a very captivating storyteller. And despite sort of instances where he has to criticize somebody or say something where he disagrees with someone in one of the stories he's telling, I don't think he's ever unduly harsh. He's never unfair, and he always tries to clarify what he's saying with reasoning and evidence. So I think he's a tremendous raconteur.
Yeah, as my best friend Adam Pacitti would always say, always speak with truth to friends and always be true to who you are.
He says that. Yeah.
He does. He says that to me all the time. On the subject of departures, come-ins and goings, this is an interesting one from behind the scenes at WWE. Fightful Select say, when asking around rumoured looming WWE cuts, this is something that has been talked about over the last week or so, Fightful Select has confirmed that Nick Manfredini left the company earlier this year.
Yeah.
Now, that name may not resonate, but he was a writer within WWE since about 2010.
Yes, and I thought the name rang slightly a bell, and I thought, why is that? And it's because apparently he's the name who was very influential in the creation and creative direction behind the Firefly Funhouse segments. Now, at the moment, there's a bit of mystery going on around Bray Wyatt, why he missed that big MSG house show It was reported via, I believe, Fightful Select as well, that it was a physical issue. But the wording of it was quite strange. Normally they'd just say, yeah, he's injured. But it was the way it went, physical issue. It was also the fact that it came out around a time when there's been lots of speculation about a creative bust-up potentially behind the scenes with Wyatt's segments not being received that well. Could this have something to do with it? I don't know, and I don't know whether I shouldn't probably speculate on. Someone's like not got his job anymore, and if he's left of his own accord, then fair enough. But if not, then it's quite sad. So it's a weird one.
It's one to keep an eye on.
Certainly,
I think it's one
yes.
to keep an eye on. I think with the Bray Wyatt situation being what it is, a lot of question marks over what Bray Wyatt has in his WWE future. It's whether or not this is a sign of that.
Right.
I don't know, but it's certainly one that we'll keep an eye on.
Also, Fightful Select here saying, I think it's nice to include as well, apparently Manfredini was known as a guy backstage who would downplay credit on himself, but was often put over by Bray Wyatt himself, with Bray saying, this guy's really good, this guy's really good. So it's nice that he seems like genuinely like a self-effacing sort of guy.
Same with the sort of backstage WWE guys and sort of what they do next. Pat Buck. Bit of Pat Buck news. He's been connected with AEW for a while now. He's been working behind the scenes there. He got back in the ring on the weekend. He was at the AEW House Rules show in Troy, Ohio. He and QT Marshall had a fight.
He and QT Marshall did have a good old wrestle. I like that the town's name is Troy, like a person. It's Troy, Ohio.
And like the city. Where
Oh,
they pushed,
damn it.
where they pushed in the horse.
Do you know what? One of my A-levels is on classical civilization. I should have. I'm really annoyed at myself.
Adam Pachiti's got an A-level.
The match began between Pat Buck and QT Marshall with a promo from Pat Buck and QT where they both put over students from their respective wrestling schools. Creative Pro Wrestling for Pat Buck and the Nightmare Factory, for QT Marshall, before squaring off one-on-one. And that dastardly Will Hobbs, he cost Pat Buck the match.
Naughty boy. But you know what? The general consensus was Pat Buck looked great.
Yeah.
You know, he's an accomplished guy in ring in his own right, but certainly he's proved his mental prowess when it comes to wrestling, working behind the scenes at WWE and AEW. So it's nice that we had an opportunity in Troy, Ohio, to get him in the ring and get a nice ovation for him from friends, family, loved ones, etc.
I feel like it's almost weird to now think of him as a wrestler once again. Like, I was so used to him as an agent or as whatever. I think he was an agent backstage in WWE. It seemed like he was a helping hand in all sorts of areas.
His last job within WWE was the main event of last year's WrestleMania.
Wow. He was the guy. He was
guy.
The main agent. He was 007.
Also at House Rules, we saw the in-ring return of Anna Jay in a losing effort to Britt Baker. Haven't seen Anna Jay back in the ring since that street fight with Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was a few rough spots in that one. But Anna J.A.S., Tom, come on. Give her a proper title.
Sorry.
She's a member of the Jericho Appreciation Society.
I apologise.
She did. It's her first match since January after she suffered dislocated ribs. Excuse me.
I guess her ribs did suffocate.
Suffocated ribs would be awful. As she suffered dislocated ribs in a tag team street fight, as Tom mentioned. She tweeted, "Felt good to get back in the ring last night, Troy, Ohio. You weren't the worst." So she's still a villain. Oh.
But they were the worst.
Yeah,
That's
they were.
all right.
We hate Troy, Ohio.
We hate. Listen to you having a go at Troy.
I'm
You are a horse, a wooden horse. Powerhouse Hobbs retained the TNT title at the show as well over Christopher Daniels. Hook in action being Ethan Page for the FTW title. We had a little bit from Tony Khan where he came out and thanked the crowd for rocking up. And John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli, the Blackpool Combat Club, beat the Firm's Lee Moriarty and Big Bill in the main event.
Confusing because they're all heels now. God.
What a complicated situation.
What a tangled web we weave. Thank you very much for joining. I thought just me, but now Tom as well on this news video.
Yeah,
Nice to see you.
it's nice to do the news. I always like doing the news.
Nice to see Adam as well at the very start there.
Great to see Adam.
Unusual. Thank you very much for watching.
Stay safe. Love you. Bye.
Love you, bye.